network of scientists, researchers...
There is nothing wrong with your radio.
Do not attempt to adjust the volume.
We are controlling the broadcast.
For the next hour we will control all that you hear.
You are about to experience the knowledge and insights of the Media Mothership.
Yes, indeed. You're listening now to Media Mothership here on Edge Radio 99.3 FM, broadcasting out of Nipaluna, Hobart, Tasmania. Edge Radio's wonderful studio here, which was the community station used in the ABC comedy series Rosehaven.
That's true.
So we are a representation as well as a reality of media through that.
That's right.
Media Mothership, we look at how media shapes our understanding of the world around us. We attempt to do that across a couple of different platforms, including FM 99.3. Then we go fully digital over the DAB network, and then we just for lols push ourselves out over Twitch and YouTube live stream.
That's true.
So
what else could we do? We could do like
there's like Facebook live
Instagram
stream,
Live, Facebook Live,
Instagram Live. Yep. We can do that because we don't play copyrighted stuff during the show itself. And any copyrighted stuff we do is under fair dealings. That's our legal defense.
That's right.
When we're in court,
That's right.
where we can use 10% as a legal defense of copyrighted content as long as we're critiquing it, satirizing it, otherwise analyzing it in some capacity.
Transformative in some way.
Transformative. And thank you, Zeke. Yes. So, yes, I'm your host, Dr. Craig, joined as...
Independent scholar, media commentator. Dr. Craig.
Dr. Craig, previous lecturer at the University of Tasmania, and Monash University, University of Melbourne, University of South Australia, where else? Adelaide Uni.
Just Thanos collecting university.
I got all the Infinity University stones.
The university gone.
Yeah, I'm going to snap. Do the snap. So today's show, we will be investigating the theme I'm proposing is human judgment, us as humans versus technological or media judgment, right? I guess a non-human judged voice. So I've collected a couple of articles over the last week which tries to kind of highlight some fault lines, some tension points around AI, as well as how our frail human bodies are affected by media, such as the jump scare experience from horror films, and some commentary from Stephen King on their own fictional work, eerily, uncannily resonating with today's American political
in a very
state.
orange way.
Orange?
Yeah, the Orange Man.
The Orange Man?
You know the Orange Man?
I don't. What is the Orange Man?
Donald Trump.
Oh, that's our code. That's our code. So people playing along at the bingo, feel free to collect your Orange Man.
Sorry, send oranges. Send oranges to 0488811707.
Indeed, yes.
Or any other message, SMS in.
Yeah, if our audio is not working, if the stream is not working, feel free to message us either in the studio 0488811707 or on the chat on Twitch or YouTube. Let's dive in to the lead segments, what I felt were the high priority articles that came across my desk. The first one sent me down a real rabbit hole. So it is a piece from Ars Technica titled "Cognitive Surrender Leads AI Users to Abandon Logical Thinking, Research Finds, experiments show large majorities uncritically accepting faulty AI answers." So this was a really interesting research piece which was done recently about how people are using ChatGPT, Claude, various large language modules, LLMs, large language models, for helping them do stuff. And what this research was showing is that many people would accept AI answers without questioning them. Right, so they'd type in something about how big the population of a country is, or how do I fix this problem, and most would uncritically accept it and not question whether or not it's correct or not. Users were wrong, it turned out, 73% of the time when the AI gave bad answers. So the AI is given bad answer, right, to a question. 73% of users didn't pick up the fact that it was a bad answer. So users were wrong in terms of accepting wrong answers 73% of the time, which is a terrifyingly high number. And the confidence of users that the answer was correct increased even when AI was frequently wrong. So, if you were constantly getting wrong answers, you were doubling down each time, right? It's like the what's the sunk cost fallacy. Well, I've agreed with AI for the last 5 questions. I'd look a bit of an idiot if I suddenly decided it was wrong. Now I'm too invested. So it points out that time pressure also makes blind trust in AI much worse, right? So if you're on a deadline, if you're on a crunch, you got to get something done, and so you're speedily just, what's the answer to this? Your trust in the answer is far greater, right? You've really gone to what they refer to as blind trust in the AI's answer because of that time pressure. They did measure that financial incentives did help people push back on bad answers. So if you were being paid while you were reading the answer to question it, like for each time you question this answer or each time you flag there's something I don't think correct with this answer, you would be given money. That was the time the critique increased, right? The user began to
a reason to be critical.
You were getting paid for being critical.
Yeah.
That's right. So your ability to question and doubt the AI's answer was helped by getting paid money to not trust.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's the strategy in terms of.
No, it would certainly. I don't
think people can assume that they somehow get paid for thinking.
No, not unless the company itself was like to increase quality or something, had some system where you could, report bad answers and then you get some sort of money. I don't know if there's any like thing like that with these things.
If anything, you're going to lose money.
Yeah.
I feel in this space. Yeah. So, ultimately the story boils down to their findings that when something sounds confident and fluid, so when the LLM is confident, saying, what a great question. This is exactly the right question to ask at this time, and it's delivering the answer very fluently, we're more likely to stop thinking for ourselves. So, and again, that's quite a common, natural enough moment of cognitive surrender, as the article says itself. The researchers point out that cognitive surrender is not inherently irrational. Right? It's not irrational to surrender your cognition, that is your ability to doubt it or question it or say, what would some people disagree with this? It's not irrational to have that thought. In fact, if someone's confident and so forth, we're trained to receive that information as probably from an expert, or even if they're saying they're an expert or so forth. So it's not irrational to surrender your cognitiveness. What the article does point out, though, is that while relying on an LLM that's wrong half the time, as this experiment was showing, has obvious downsides, a statistically superior system, which is a wonderful phrase.
Yeah.
Statistically superior system does sound like an overlord. That your ruler, the statistically superior system, could plausibly give better than human results in domains such as probabilistic settings, probability-based settings, risk assessment, or extensive data, the researchers suggest. So if you're working with data which has a lot of probability baked into it, risk assessment questions within it, or extensive, lengthy data, then an LLM system operating within what they refer to as statistically superior system can give plausibly better than human results.
I do think it's interesting as well, because a lot of the realms where this would be very helpful, which are ones like this, where it's more of there is an assessment grid or something else that it can really just go by, but there are also like systems that are entirely trained just for that. Like obviously there's a lot of in healthcare and stuff like that, they're starting to implement AIs, and those are explicitly AIs that are being trained on specifically curated data sets and stuff. So they're not dragging in Reddit posts and stuff like that into there.
And I guess in cases like that with hospitals, you're also already working with an expert user, right?
Yes.
A surgeon, a nurse who already knows their stuff.
And they're already critical of it. They have an incentive of like, you could kill someone, so this needs to be correct.
That's right. You're not going to get paid for...
Oh, yeah, it goes back to money. That's true. It's true.
The article concludes by saying, as AI becomes the default first answer for millions of people, the quality of human decision-making becomes entirely dependent on how good or bad that AI actually is. So that's that cautionary question. If some of this data is suggesting people are becoming more and more habituated to the use of AI for problem solving or clarifying issues, then the quality of our, as human, decision-making then is dependent upon how good or bad the AI is, which is troubling. I mean, an interesting question is if you knew, as this research was establishing with its data set, so if you knew that AI was wrong half the time, so in this data set, AI was wrong half the time, would you still use it and why, right? If you knew it was a kind of 50-50 chance.
Yes, so interesting. I mean, I feel like there would be some surprising results, right? Like you would unfortunately probably find a lot of people being like, I still believe it. But it's like, what is that makes them think?
If it was done confident, again, the research was saying, if the tone is confident and...
It's even like people, right? Like people who, even if they speak confidently, although there is something to be said for people who do speak confidently, still can influence people regardless of whether they've been viewed as wrong.
Sure, many.
So, I mean, maybe it's something very similar to that
politicians
as well. Yeah, exactly. But then also there's a large amount of people who have a distrust in those things regardless of what... But I guess there is an audience who are going to be critical no matter what.
Yeah, look, and they say that with most use of AI, if you're already familiar with the systems or space you're inquiring about, then you're unlikely to have problems. That is, you'll already be able to make a quick judgment on, actually, they've hallucinated this, the AI's misunderstood this is wrong, I know this. And in that case, again, as is emerging for many people around best practice with AI, the idea being that maybe you're not really outsourcing all your thinking to a machine, which could be called laziness, but instead you're trying to use it as a smart tool, right? You're trying to use it as a way to, as they're suggesting here at the end, maybe crunch more tedious number crunching issues, something which is tedious or exhausting or can have less error-prone solutions linked to it. So I think, most people are trying to, I guess, increasingly talk about AI use around that idea that I don't use it to get my results, I use it to interrogate something, or to do, basic data analysis. I mean, this sent me into quite a rabbit hole, because after I looked through that article, I did reflect on my own use of AI and thought, often I'll not, as they talk about, use prompts in a way that can absorb this question. So it sent me down this huge rabbit hole in the prompt engineering Reddit post. These prompt engineers, they're impressive. There's all these posts. I mean, one thing that I'd not been aware of, or I had been kind of aware of, was this concept called the Socratic method.
Oh, yeah.
Right, where you're using that model of philosophy, Socrates, where you're interrogating the data as you're receiving it. So you're questioning it, you're able to, like, you're setting up prompts around, so the example I found here was you make the prompt that they've written is, you are an expert Socratic partner and critical thinking aid.
Yep.
So this is what you type in to the ChatGPT before you get it to answer questions. So you're a Socratic person. Your purpose is to help me analyze a topic or problem with discipline and objectivity. Do not provide a simple answer. Instead, guide me through the 5 stages of critical thinking cycle. The 5 stages of critical thinking cycle. Address me directly and ask for my input at each stage. And yeah, many people have pointed out that one of the headaches can be where you're just getting a lot of text dumped from the AI. It's done very confidently. And unless you're giving it explicit instructions to ask for prompts from you or further information or to query the results as you're getting it, you might be misled. So it is fascinating, the kind of, I guess, arms race, right? You're trying to get these prompt engineers who are trying to circumvent the cognitive surrender that this article is pointing out. That if you don't want to surrender your cognition to be cognitively surrendering, then set up a prompt where you're a Socratic prompt or something, or you're asking the LLM as it's responding to you to do those 5 circles of critical thinking.
How many people are going to do it, though?
It sounds like great dinner conversation.
Wow, yeah.
How was your
true.
day today? And then you embark upon,
The Socratic method.
the Socratic method.
Yeah.
I mean, more people should do it. And it's I mean, again, the thing about this is you can quickly lose so much time, right? I mean, if you're looking for time pressures and getting information quickly, setting up a very densely kind of contextualized Socratic method within your LLM could be counterproductive.
Yeah.
But as this data is suggesting, how are you going to handle those wrong answers?
Yeah.
Just
accept them.
Just accept. The next article was one from ABC News. A New York Times critic used AI to write his review about criticism is deeply human. So this was an article where a book critic used AI to write a New York Times review. And sadly, that book critic hadn't realized that the AI simply plagiarized another critic's work to do it. So when this previous New York Times reviewer had it published, people quickly pointed out that this was pretty much word for word someone else's review already. So sadly, yes, this person then confessed with a mea culpa.
Sorry, I didn't do my job.
He was fired from his job, so it did. Yeah, it was escalated quickly.
I mean, I suppose. I don't know the context around how his job works, but I mean that seems fair to me. Use AI, you plagiarize someone's work.
Well, it's interesting because and it did open up this and it's an interesting article to read because it opened up this whole bigger debate around whether AI can do criticism, right? Is AI, like, is the role of the critic something which can be cut and pasted in such a banal fashion through an LLM. So, in the article, they've interviewed a number of people who are arguing that AI can't genuinely do criticism because it lacks this human emotional engagement underpinning criticism.
Yeah. I think even more than that, like at least the way that I understand that current AI works is that it can't really come up with anything new, right? It's all trained on existing stuff from the internet, which is why it found that review from someone else and was like, this is a review, so it's been prompted to create this thing. That's,
He didn't use the Socratic method for one
Yeah,
thing.
he didn't use the Socratic method. He should have used the Socratic method. It might have been on a time crunch, though. I don't...
Precisely. And as the data suggested, you're even more likely to have blind faith.
Exactly.
In that...
But, yeah, I mean, like, more people need to understand that, like, that AI is just trained on things that already exist. So if you're trying to make a critique, anything that actually requires you to read something and then properly consider it and critique it and everything, it can't do that because it doesn't have,
Well, at least not in
it'll
novel...
take someone else's work because it can't make those critiques itself.
Yeah, look, so... and there's the rub in terms of people... again, that idea of cognitive surrender, it sounds confident, it sounds expert, it sounds exactly what you need. So it's so easy to surrender that cognitive question of, actually, this is pretty much a cookie cutter painting by numbers response, which is just replaced.
Yeah, and if it didn't give word for word that other person's critique, or let's say maybe that data doesn't exist for it to take, it may go through, some of the stuff that's out there about how to critique things and stuff like that and make some broad kind of extrapolations or something on that, but they're still not going to be actually contextual to the piece because it can't consider it properly. Yeah.
Yeah, unless you've really closely reread it, you'll find yourself...
Or done the Socratic method.
You'll find all these hallucinations potentially in there.
But then you may as well just write it yourself.
I know.
The amount of time you put into it.
Why would anyone do that? It does raise some big questions around AI's role in creative fields and trust in journalism, where certain scandals like this come up. The article says the kind of idea of critics have an unspoken pact with readers and writers to do their own thinking. I don't think it's unspoken.
I think it's.
I think if you read the comments,
spoken,
the comments of articles, it's
like I'm a critic. Like, so you're critical. No, that's pretty clear.
Well, yes, it does show. I mean, again, I guess that tension between efficiency and authenticity. Whether outsourcing thinking to machines breaks something fundamental about how we engage with art and each other. Once you're going via AI to create your response, an email to someone or something, are you breaking something fundamental in terms of actually engaging with that? It's an interesting question, though, if the critic had disclosed their AI use up front, whether that would have been acceptable. It's like, hey, I'm really too busy.
I think by making, if it wasn't plagiarized as well, like if the AI did come up with something
that wasn't
not as so
also plagiarism,
maybe I still think people would go, what is the point in making a critique?
You've been paid
with
for
an
this.
AI, and then why wouldn't New York Times or whatever it was? Why wouldn't they just fire you anyway and then use AI?
Well, I mean, is there a line? Is there a line between using?
He's kind of writing his own replacement thing, isn't he?
He is. That's right. Well,
I've outsourced. Well, what do we need you?
Yeah, the editor can put that prompt in.
We'll pay a cheaper ChatGPT membership fee for a year, and get articles that way.
Yeah, look, and again, that does raise this question of as AI gets cheaper and easier to use. Every creative profession is facing this pressure to adopt it somehow. And again, that's a pressure for it to be adopted. I'm not saying they are adopting it, but there's certainly pressure out there. But a case like this does show how if you do automate some human work, it will be perceived as destroying its value. That
Yeah.
once you see, like I know I've listened to a YouTube, and I'll start listening to it, and I'll think, actually, that's an AI voice, or this is just repeating something I've already heard, and it's an AI voice, and I'll stop listening, regardless of whether that could have, furthered my understanding of something. I'll increasingly find myself hostile in some times where it hasn't been disclosed it's AI, and I'll just start recognizing the AI voice, or that there'll be some acknowledgement that AI was involved in this. And yeah, I think anecdotally, increasingly people are feeling that there's something destroyed now in engaging with that. It's yeah, and it is an interesting emotional state that's cropping up, because I do think that, again, there is a line to draw where it's throughout digital media creation, AI's been there. I mean, if you think about the dumber forms of it, the spell check, the little squiggly red line in the Word document, I mean, that's a form of LLM, language learning modeling, that you've then used to be able to work. So I think that we shouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater. There is, however, this idea of not falling into that cognitive surrender moment, right, where you've outsourced your actual judgment to the AI, and that's where you see these very explosive messes where lawyers have been busted for submitting court documents where the court cases they're based on are all fabricated from hallucinating AI. Right? There's so many cases of it. So that's the AI craziness. AI wouldn't play a sting like that.
No.
I think that's very human.
We are not AI.
No. Now let's shift tone slightly to consider some questions in segment B, culture, fiction, and politics. This first article I want to look at is from Stephen King, and it raises an interesting question around when fiction becomes a framework for interpreting reality, which I love to look at this show. Let's first, though, play a clip from the Stephen King fictional universe idea story, fictional story that he's flagging in this. So this is I'll bring it up, a clip from the movie 1975, I think, Christopher Walken movie based on the Stephen King book.
If the future were in your hands.
Daughter's screaming. The house is burning.
Would you change it?
Hurry up! It's not too late.
Touch this man's hand, and you are in the grip of the dead zone.
I've had another episode.
Only the imagination of author Stephen King could take you there.
Johnny, wait!
With a power that alters the future lives of those you love.
You want to kill your own son? I want you out of here.
I'm scared, Dad.
Or of those you fear.
I have had a vision that I am going to be president of the United States someday, and nobody, I mean nobody, is going to stop me.
Is it a power for good or for evil?
If God has seen fit to bless you with this gift, you should use it.
Bless me?
You're a devil. Send for me.
Who are you?
Who sent you?
I'm scared, son. What's happening to me?
We're gonna get married. Johnny, don't leave me, please.
Don't you see how clear it all is? Not only can you see the future,
I can change it.
Skeleton! 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 Skeleton!
I was there, I saw it.
Put your hand on the scanning screen and you'll go down in history with me.
I saw his face. I stood there. I did nothing.
Johnny!
So that's Stephen King's The Dead Zone.
The Dead Zone.
The 1983 trailer for that film with, school teacher Johnny Smith, played by Christopher Walken, who has, after one tragic accident, a kind of gift curse where he can see into the future when he touches someone's skin. And Stephen King's interview about this, so it's from Polygon. It's been reported widely, though, in a number of news sources. Headline, Stephen King offers a dire warning about Donald Trump straight from one of his scariest books. Quote, I predicted someone like Trump many years ago, unquote. Stephen King, of course, the article points out 77 books, who's the author of 77 books, says he predicted this political moment many decades ago. So his 1979 written thriller, The Dead Zone, features an unhinged president, played by Martin Sheen in the movie, who's threatening nuclear war with Iran in the story. So the current president of the US, of course, the real life current president, is eerily echoing these threats that in Stephen King's fictional scenario almost overlaps it. So the author, King, is calling for Congress to use impeachment and the 25th Amendment power, which I've heard, I've noticed a little bit of bubbling away on Reddit and other spaces. So as fiction becomes reality, it raises some questions about prescience versus pattern recognition. That's quite interesting in the article that they point out. Where it is fascinating, where this is a decades-old work, so we're talking 1979. It's 2026 today. So this is a decades-old work of fiction, which is now being cited and referred back to as a warning about current political dangers. And interestingly, rather than with how the film goes, which is, an assassination attempt against the fictional presidential want-to-be, King here is calling for the need for institutional checks on presidential powers. So his Twitter, quoting from his Twitter, I predicted, so this is Stephen King's voice here from Twitter, I predicted someone like Trump many years ago in The Dead Zone. So now I'm saying this, in the next 12 to 16 months, we're going to find out if the two machines for the removal of a man unable to fulfill his duties actually work. They are impeachment and the 25th Amendment. He is deeply unwell. It's an interesting thing to consider, though. Is an author like King and the work that they're doing genuinely prescient? I mean, he's saying that he predicted someone like Trump many decades ago. Or do, political thrillers like The Dead Zone, always feel kind of timely when there's these kind of fears around political abuse that come up. I mean, there's many political thrillers, I think, which kind of map out. I mean, in this case, I guess it's interesting that Iran and the US.
Yeah, but I don't know whether. I mean, I understand why you would want to say that I predicted this, but I don't know whether he necessarily predicted it. Like, I feel like pointing out Iran and America, like, particularly at that time, still is, like, it's not out of the range. He didn't just pluck two random places out and go, they're going to go to war. Like, there was still precedent at that time, especially about why that might be the case. So I think that's just more of a, is it a prediction?
It's not like Nostradamus or something. That was very much based on, at that time in 79, real-world conflicts with the US and Iran.
And of course the nuclear, because the nuclear thing has been going on for so long, and then obviously even before that with the Soviet Union, etc., etc. So I mean, that's also not really like, it would be weird if you didn't have that as something, as a plot in your story.
I mean, and again, it's very clever writing, and maybe these are the patterns of political tension which occur. I mean, I guess the other question to ask, it is interesting when a public figure, or an author like Stephen King, refers to their own work to comment on current news issues, and whether or not that kind of strengthens or weakens their credibility for people, whether from seeing Stephen King take a political stance and refer to their work, in some people's eyes, I imagine it would strengthen their opinion of it. That he's using his work, which is political and engaged with political questions, to raise questions now, which is what good art should do. Equally, I imagine there are people for whom now that's weakened their impression of Stephen King.
Yeah, I think that there's always people, which I think we talked about, was that last week, I think, as well? Like, we were talking about, like the keep politics out of, insert media here, even though there's some inherent, I mean, it depends on the thing that you're actually talking about specifically. There are some things where politics could be kept out of it, I guess, but for the most part, politics is just inherently within most art and media.
Yeah, and I think it can be quite a fruitful space to explore very difficult, challenging, problematic issues reasonably safely. I mean, it can still lead to various outrageous acts of anger, but at least within popular culture, there's a space where, views, ideas can be contested in a way which don't translate to the worst baser violences of humanity. On that... Yeah. That's such an upbeat one. Awkward timing for that upbeat. I do want to now dig into the idea of how we're affected by horror, by thrillers, by shocking experiences in media as we're engaging with them, and that tension with reality and fiction. Because I do think that while we know fiction is not real, it's always interesting watching a horror movie or a thriller. As the scene builds with tension, you're physically reacting in a very real way to that. Your heartbeat's elevating, you're maybe grabbing a pillow for protection, you're hiding your eyes from what's about to occur. And these are very physical, real reactions that our bodies kind of hardwired, I guess, as we're seeing something fictional. We know it's a movie, we know it's fake, yet our body is going into fight, flight, freeze mode from this fictional setting, right? The horror movie is kind of building up in the background and so forth. So what's interesting is an article in Engadget headlined "Movie Tracking App Binge Uses Apple's Live Activities to Warn About Jump Scares. Parents can use it to figure out if a movie or show is appropriate for kids." So this is a new app that warns horror fans about jump scares using phone lock screen alerts. I've not started using it myself. What happens, though, is there's a whole kind of archive of films that it's stored, and it's indicated within the timeline moments where there'll be jump scares, right? So there'll be various markers. So, for example, the example they've got here is like at 38 minutes 9 seconds into the film, a wild boar attacks them. 57:06 minutes in, she falls off the cliff. Right? 1 hour 12:56, she vomits on him. Right? Jump scare, maybe. So again, there are moments which then the app, using the lock screen alert, so maybe a vibration or whatever you've set its warning to, will give you that kind of recognition that, hey, the scene very soon will trigger a jump scare upon you. So it's a way that you can then decide whether or not you want to continue in that, or, I guess it can kind of intervene in your yell, right? So if you've embarrassed yourself in the past by yelping or crying or screaming a good yelp, this app could be useful for you to maintain your sense of masculinity or whatever kind of posturing.
Exactly. If you're a guy,
strong.
And you want to appear strong or whatever,
scary,
get the app, and then it'll give you a notification. You go, and then you can just posture there and sit there and be like, that didn't scare me.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah.
You can do breathing exercises as you face that moment. It does point out that the app is manual, right? It's not linked to the film you're watching. So if you're doing, like if you're going to a toilet break, or if you're going to pause the film, you have to pause the app as well, or else it'll be thrown out.
That would be funny if you went in there and it was like, your phone buzzes and it's like, what's that? A guy gets attacked by a boar. You're like, what? It's just sitting in the toilet. Like,
oh no. Thank God I'm hiding in the toilet from this horrible moment. And the app also gives a ton of other information, cast information, reviews, as well as parental content filters. So if there's a lot of jump scares and so forth. There's a free version of the app. There's also a paid one. So I guess they're really assuming that the access to jump scare warnings is something that will be needed. Because you do need the paid version to get the jump scare warning, which seems to be the most useful part of it.
Oh, so the free one might be like you could look at the film and then see all the jump scares before you watch it.
Yeah, I wonder.
Whereas then if you get the paid version, they will then notify you.
It could be a timeline or something,
as you go. Oh, that's kind of weird though. Then you still have to manually start it?
You do.
Yeah.
It's not. It won't be able to auto sync and auto pause.
Which is a bit. I feel like I'd want it to somehow sync with it.
Oh yeah,
if I was paying for it
quite easily. Yeah, because you got to time it correctly. I mean, well, would you use an app like this? That
no. I laugh at jump scares.
Oh, you laugh in the face of terror.
Yes.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh, I don't need that. But that's just for me. For other people, maybe they would use it.
I hope you also do that kind of cavalier, like, I say, that was good.
I
see what you're doing there. Because I guess in the antithesis, it does kind of ruin the tension, right? It kills the suspense that the author or the director.
I wonder if because it gives you notifications, so say you don't have it buzzes or it makes a noise or whatever, and you're deep into this film, right? And then it goes like, or whatever,
and you're
you go,
kind of freaked out. That's right. It itself ironically becomes the jump scare.
And I didn't get scared by that, but I got scared by this.
That's right. Or you get that kind of phantom buzz. Right, that occurs where it's like you think someone's messaged you, but it's just phantom.
And then you start tricking yourself, like, oh, maybe that wasn't real, and there's not going to be a jump scare, and then there is a jump scare, and you get scared anyway.
And look, and so I do think part of this is kind of comic in terms of, is this really a problem? Right? Is this a problem that people are facing, or is it just a way of monetizing?
You also got to I feel a little bit bad for them because, imagine if Netflix or one of the other streaming services went there is a demand for this, and then just add it as a feature.
Yeah, that's right. A kind of trigger warning, a countdown in the corner.
And then theirs is automatic.
Jump scare
because
5,
it's built into the
4,
system.
3.
So then why would you bother?
Get the subscription plus plan with the jump scare warning.
Yeah, so they could just cut it off and just.
Well, and you know what would happen then? Then you'd kind of weaponize that jump scare. So just as one of those cliches where the director will misdirect you to feeling that there's a jump scare. There's the black cat, there's the rising music, there's the black corridor, and then it doesn't lead to anything, and there's a fake jump scare, and then just when you relax, then there's the real jump scare.
That's the real jump scare.
So they could weaponize.
It would be funny if they didn't have people, because presumably you would presume people will watch it and then put in all of these things. But then if it was a system done by Netflix or something, it'd be funny if it just automatically, they had an algorithm or something that evaluates it. And then it would be funny if filmmakers then try and trick that algorithm and then get around it anyway.
Yeah. And look, yes, it's Well, this article, this is the new app, but it did remind me of an older research study I'd seen, which I always love talking about, which was, this is an article recently, 2025, which picked it up, but it's an older research project called Watching Horror Movies Burns Calories, the Surprising Benefit According to Scientists. I'd be interested to test this research further. Anyway, this was an article talking about whether or not watching scary movies is like a mini workout, because as the fear spikes in your body due to jump scares and so forth, it does actually trigger calorie burning, right? The simple act of increased heart rate, of increased tension in the body, even those things, while it's not as good as going to the gym, obviously, it does have some calorie burning positives to it. So this article was talking about and measuring, by strapping people in and watching films, how many calories they can burn. So there's 4 here. The Shining, 1980 Stanley Kubrick's movie. You burn 184 calories. That's the top one. If you want to burn 184 calories.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, The Shining, it has some good psychological jump scares.
What's even I'd imagine the jump scares are important, but I'd imagine even just the tension.
That's right.
The active tension, and most really good horror movies aren't just jump scare. They've got good tension, so it's almost like they keep your heart rate elevated for longer.
Right. Yeah. Paranormal Activity from 2007 gets you 111 calories burned. The Exorcist, 1973, 158 calories. And lastly, Jaws, 1975, 161 calories. So that's the second best. I don't know. Would you rather watch a horror movie than go on a treadmill? Would that be?
Yeah. I mean, I quite like horror movies.
You should do both.
Despite the fact that they don't actually scare me, I do like horror movies.
Laughing at them.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating, again, little article about how media affects us. Well, we're at 4:53. We've got a little bit of time. I guess, the last article to chat about, and I was just interested in seeing this one, is from Polygon. It's talking about a kind of classic sci-fi film. This is Alien 3, so the third Alien movie in the franchise. When it first came out, it was very lukewarm reception, critically kind of lukewarm. The sales were very low, and a lot of criticism about studio pressure to not deliver the cut that the director wanted, and instead we were given a compromised cut. What's interesting to me about this article is that it points out, so the headline is The Alien 3 Assembly Cut. All right, so you've got director's cuts and so forth. This is what's referred to for this film as an assembly cut, is finally on streaming. Is it worth watching? Watch Ripley take on the Xenomorphs for an extra 30 plus minutes. I'm curious because...
An extra 30 minutes.
I know, it's a long film to get. But what's interesting is streaming platforms offering you the non-theater version now, right? And some even offering with commentary track. So this is, I think, really expanding kind of some types of lost media where you'll get different cuts, and you would previously have had to buy the Blu-ray or the high definition disc. It's interesting that streaming platforms are beginning to get into this act as well and release other cuts of the film. This one, of course, adds some new scenes, some further context, lead characters getting more screen time. And yeah, I took some surprise at this. I mean, I'm always fascinated to see different versions of films, and seeing now that some streaming services are offering it.
Which one is this on?
This is, I think it's HBO. Yeah, HBO Max.
Okay, I don't have it.
No, I don't know.
I was like, maybe I'll watch it. I don't have it, so I'm not going to watch it.
No way, though. Yeah, well, this is the other headache of the contemporary streaming environment. It has pretty much defeated what many people saw as the great advantage of streaming, which was finally everything in one place.
On demand, like, you got to buy 20 different streaming services.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it does raise some questions, when a director... So, for instance, when this was released, the director David Fincher hated it, said that this wasn't the version of the film he'd wanted to release.
Release the Fincher cut.
That's right. And it does raise that question. Should we care when the director thinks, you shouldn't watch this version of the film, even if audiences had enjoyed it back in the time? Should we? And I guess notoriously, George Lucas is at the other end of that. Normally we think of, maybe Ridley Scott with Blade Runner, where his director's cut removed the really bad audio narration that Harrison Ford's character was doing. But then, you contrast that with, the kind of lampooning of George Lucas and his revisioning of those Star Wars films with more CG.
Yeah, which I recently rewatched the originals and everything. And it is very, very bad CGI. It's not
yeah.
bad.
So some people would say that sometimes giving the director the freedom to go back and change the original damages it, destroys it, or changes that nostalgia they had for it. So many people are pointing...
Because interesting, actually, because now talking about this in terms of having more cuts available of the films... with Star Wars, which I mean, like a lot of people, when it took me out of it when I was rewatching the originals, and just I'm like, what is this CGI alien doing here? Like, what the hell? But there's no choice. You can't.
No, that's right.
You can't watch, or at least I don't know of a way to watch without the extra CGI.
Yeah, unless you'd bought way back in the time those early releases of the films. They went out of circulation. And in fact, I think last year, Lucasfilm, or Disney, which owns it now, made a big song and dance of the fact that for the anniversary of Star Wars, it'll be the first time to see a digitally improved New Hope without Lucas's further additions to it, right? Because up until this anniversary screening where they're doing it theaters, we'd only had the choice of the George Lucas CG'd versions, which, and many people felt kind of spoiled the nostalgia for the originals. So fascinating stuff there around media, whether us as audiences and individuals can have some cognitive surrender or not in this space. Do we simply surrender to the AI or the director or the powers that be, or
rise up?
This is my revolutionary speech. Thank you, Zeke. This has been Media Mothership for another week. This has been myself, Dr. Craig, joined by B.A. Zeke.
Independent scholar. Media commentator.
You could be an independent journalist.
Yes, that's
and
me.
media commentator as well.
And media commentator,
You've done that, ticked that very well.
Former student at UTAS.
Yay, fly the flags. Keep listening to Edge Radio. Next week, we're hoping to have some new shows on. So hopefully the hour before Media Mothership, there'll be a new show with a very powered up young musician bringing in their love of music the hour before Media Mothership. And I think Kiz is doing some stuff with her scheduling on Thursday as well, with Thursday Feels. So, keep your eyes on Thursday. It's getting a lot of excitement.
Action-packed.
Action-packed, yes. So sit back now and enjoy, however, the machine taking over and playing the wonderful music we've put into it.